Again.
You talking to me about a bar?
That one.
You're live.
I'm live. Cool.
What bar are you talking about?
The one that gave us
Oh.
our iPad holder.
It's even on here. Monk's Ale House.
Monk's Ale House. I can't ever remember that. I should remember that because there was a show I used to like to watch. But Monk's Ale House, which is our sponsor for our post-race thing at Huset's, gave us this fancy little iPad holder because they were here and she laughed at our
setup.
Our
Can you believe that?
6-pack pail that you got beer in at the track and a Crown Royal bottle box. That's what we held it up with.
It worked perfect.
And she
But
thought
this is way better. I'm just saying.
Now this is quite. I mean, the damn thing weighs like 5 pounds. It's a pretty impressive. It's got to be the nicest piece of
All right,
equipment we
you
got.
done talking yet? So we can
No.
go? All right, here we go.
When have I ever quit, bud?
Hey, it's Hoagie's Garage, and we're lucky enough to have Clinton Boyles on our show. How you doing tonight, Clinton?
I'm doing good. How are you guys tonight?
Doing great.
Right now, he's wondering why the hell he agreed to come on this show. But it's like, good God, some guys don't know shit.
Oh.
So how you been, buddy?
Man, busy. Traveling, racing micros, and trying to just build the KL Racing micro program up, and having a lot of fun doing it. But it's been a lot of work to get to where we're at right now, for sure.
Oh, I can believe that.
Yeah.
I can believe that. It takes, anything with racing takes a lot of work.
You got that right.
You don't just show up on Saturday night.
It doesn't happen overnight, that's for sure.
You know, you can't show up at the track on Saturday night and roll it out of the trailer and think why it didn't work right.
Yep. Yeah, no doubt about that.
Let's go back to maybe start at Chili Bowl. Announcing. Do you do the Tulsa Shootout at all, or is it just the Chili Bowl?
Yeah, so I do both. So I've been doing it for 10 years down there, which is hard to believe. That's a long time that I've been. It started when it was racing boys, and then transitioned into flow racing. And so the last 2 shootouts I've actually raced for Bernie Stubjen in the Indy Race Parts 71 cars at the shootout, and did the announcing. So those weeks are incredibly busy. I mean, I'm there at 8-ish in the morning at the latest, sometimes a little earlier, and I don't leave until 1 in the morning, usually, maybe a little later if I do one of the Talking Tulsa segments after all the races are over. So really, really long days there at the shootout for sure. But fortunate to have, Bernie, who lets me drive his race cars when I'm not around at all. As soon as I get out of the race car, we debrief for 5 minutes, then I'm back down in the booth to do the flow racing broadcast. And I'm gone until 15 minutes before I get back in the car, So super fortunate to have him provide me race cars to race that are fast. We've had really good shots at winning drillers the last 2 years in a couple different classes, and we actually had NOS Energy Drink come on board with Lauren Albano. She supported us, so that was really, really cool to be a part of the NOS family down there in Tulsa this last year, and we'll have that again this coming year. So that's a little bit of leaked information that I'll be back with Bernie in the 71s with NOS Energy Drink on the side. And that'll be a big focus for me. And this year we'll actually change up at Tulsa for the shootout, where I won't be doing the flow broadcast anymore, because as my, other role, I will be with Owen and Audrey Larson and Kyle working on their micros down there. So the shootout is probably my most busy week of the year. I get the least amount of sleep out of any other week, and it's just constant go. And so by the time we get to Chili Bowl, it's almost like a breath of fresh air that I can just relax a little bit, and I don't have to be at the track until 2 in the afternoon, and I'm only racing on my prelim night and on Saturday.
Who did we have on, bud?
Well, the Han.
Yeah. Oh, damn. The guy that started it.
Emmett Hahn, yeah.
And he said the crew looked forward to the Chili Bowl because it's like a little vacation almost after the Tulsa Shootout.
He goes, I think he said it's the reward for working the Tulsa Shootout is doing the Chili Bowl.
Yes. Yeah, so after it's all said and done, I'm entering my hours on the flow web page that we have. It's
Yep.
15, 16-hour days during the shootout, and then you get to Chili Bowl, and it's a 8-hour day at max, and you're like, whoa, this is way
nice.
better, So the Flow does a absolute phenomenal job. I mean, during shootout and Chili Bowl, they take extremely good care of us. They provide breakfast, lunch, dinner. I mean, they treat us like royalty when they don't really need to. So I love getting to do the Flow broadcast every year. It's so much fun, and the exposure that Flow gets everyone nowadays is incredible. The outreach is amazing. So I love just being a part of that is super special to me, and thankful that Flow has me. You come back each year and lets me run the Chili Bowl. So like I run for Scott Byerly in the midget at the Chili Bowl, and again incredibly thankful to have an owner that lets me do both and kind of split my focus up a little bit, because I'm the crew chief on the midget also. So to be back and forth on that, it's like, well, I'm in the booth learning, watching races, how the track develops, all of that. But then come prelim night time, it's time to turn on the crew chief hat, and then you get in the car, it's time to put on the driver hat, and then you get out and you're like, well, did the crew chief suck, or did the driver suck, or did we all do our job together? You never really know. So just a big old balancing act.
You don't know who to blame if they didn't
I'm
go
a
right.
circus act.
Yeah.
But no, it looks like you guys have just about as much fun as me and Bud have when you're doing the podcast or the broadcast down there.
Man, we do. It's it's a special group of guys for sure. They get to come down to Tulsa and do that on Flow. And I watch other broadcasts throughout the year, whether it be the Prelude to the Dream at Eldora for the late model guys, or there's so many big events throughout the year, even if it's necessarily not on Flow. And I think the chemistry that we have at Tulsa is, really second to none. And to put on a 15-hour-a-day broadcast and have people engaged the whole time, you can't necessarily just be 100% professional all the time.
No, you got to have fun with it.
Yes, and so we like to try to give people back home the vibe that we're just a group of guys hanging out in your living room, wherever you're watching, in your garage, and we're just some of the guys talking about the racing, and come Saturday night we get down to business, right? But throughout the course of the week, we want to try to give people back home the feel of they're at the races, they're having fun with their buddies, we're joking around, we're laughing. It's not 100% just business serious model throughout the week. So hopefully fans at home enjoy that. Obviously, if they listen to this and they absolutely hate that, then feel free to message me and we can talk about it. But
I think
until then, we'll have fun.
You're walking the pits. Those are
the
just
pit walks are awesome.
Oh my god!
Oh man, they're a riot.
I don't think you guys know what's going to happen. And neither do we. I mean, that's what makes it so fun, I think.
I can promise you, we have zero clue. It is the fact that Flow the uppers at Flow let us do that is incredible, because it is a blind shot every night on what is going to happen, come up, talk about. We have no idea. And some nights it's great. Sometimes it's a little bit less. Like we understand that, but that's part of just not knowing at all. And whatever comes those guys' way, they take it and they handle it well. And like I said, Earl Hoon Jr. is the star of that show for sure. And then you throw in Chris Moore, Blake Anderson, Brian Ward, all those guys that add into it, and they each have their own little personality. It's a treat even for us. And like when I'm in the booth watching, I am laughing so hard. I wish there was like a camera that the fans back home could see just me, Chris Wilner, Caleb Hart. We are crying, laughing through all of that. So I'm glad you guys enjoy that.
Well, it's 10 times better than our show here, but it's kind of the same thing. Like we said to you earlier, we got your name written down, and I wrote down Owen and Audrey so I wouldn't screw that up. And that's all we got going into this program. So this is kind of like a downscale the pit walk.
Well, I tell you that my pit walks are exactly the same. Like if I do the Talk and Tulsa segments that are on Flow for after the races, and it could be Kyle Busch, which I did one with Kyle Busch that was awesome. I've done Kyle Larson. I've done smaller guys like Logan Seavey, which I say is a smaller name, right? Like to me, he's just another one of the guys. But you do people that have less star power as some of the Cup guys, and I have no notes either. I want to just try to make it like you're going out talking with your buddies, and it's just a real conversation. It's not scripted, you know. So I appreciate you guys doing the same thing, and just wherever our conversation takes us, it's going to go, and we'll have fun with it.
Well, when we first started, I had all kinds of questions written up.
Yep.
And
we never got to them.
Throughout the years, we're like, why do we even have these? Because I go through a lot of work. I do some research on the people, so I try and figure it out. And it's like,
and Toby don't pay attention to them.
Let's just go with it. So that's what we do now.
Yeah.
But yeah. So now you said you're sponsored by NOS. How many?
Yeah.
How many? It's crazy how, I don't know the best way to say this, but NOS helps dirt racing so much it's not even funny.
Without a doubt, there is not one single other company or person doing more for dirt racing than what Lauren Albano and NOS Energy Drink does for dirt open wheel racing, and it goes beyond just dirt open wheel racing, right? They have side-by-side drivers they sponsor, and the Anderson brothers, and drift cars. It goes on and on, you know, what she does for motorsports in general. And I'm so fortunate to be a very small puzzle piece in the NOS family, and get to have NOS on the side of the cars down in Tulsa. So I truthfully feel like I maybe lucked into that a little bit, because Tyler Courtney got hurt last year at Eldora, and I think that maybe kind of sparked the interest in myself, because he wasn't going to run shootout, and Lauren, you know, maybe wanted someone alongside Jason Persley as a NOS driver in Tulsa. And fortunately enough for myself, I have the flow background, which is great exposure. Yeah. And, you know, the year before we had ran really, really well. Jason and I actually crashed each other. Mostly I crashed him for the lead at the shootout for one of the drillers. So, like, you know, we had speed. So it just worked out that Lauren wanted to partner with us. And, I felt like we went down and we had a pretty good showing at the shootout this last year with NOS on the side. And felt like we were going to be in contention for the Winged Outlaw driller against Jason and Kyle Larson, actually, which is funny enough, and got caught up in someone else's crash. So that was unfortunate, but, you know, excited to go back again, you know, next year and put our best foot forward, and hopefully have a little more data now that I've done micro stuff all year long, as opposed to just trying to jump in 1 week out of the year and race against people that do it all year long. So we'll see what the shootout brings when we get to that point, but I'm really looking forward to having, you know, NOS Energy Drink back on the side, Bernie providing the race cars and the engines, and go back to work with all those guys and see if we can sneak a driller away from Kyle.
Well, besides NOS supporting all different race teams, I'd be curious to know how many cases of that they give away to the fans.
Man. Yeah, I don't even know that you could even imagine that number. What they do for giving away, you know, free NOSs at the races is absolutely incredible. And I said, especially you go to Knoxville Nationals, right? And just for 7 days, they're just handing it out as fast as they can pass it out. And it's obviously they have a great product, because people stop by and grab it. If it wasn't a good product, they wouldn't.
Yeah, they're not going to take it if it tastes like crap.
They do. So
I mean, I'm a Hollander, and I ain't taking it if it ain't any good.
People love free stuff, so it's
right.
good to see the support from everyone.
Yeah.
Well, they were handing it out at the USAC Friday and Saturday night at Knoxville.
There you go.
So.
Yep.
How did this whole thing with Kyle Larson and Owen and Audrey all come about, Clinton?
Man, so it goes back into the middle of last year when I ended up leaving the Vermeer 55 sprint car team. I'd been with them for 4.5 going on 5 years, and had a great relationship with Tony Vermeer and the drivers that we'd had over those, 4 years or so to that point. And just, ultimately kind of felt like it had ran its course for me, and I wasn't necessarily happy with just where I was and the situation that I was in. And Ended up having a great conversation with Tony Vermeer and decided to just go a different direction. And he was fully supportive, and I can't, thank him enough for that. And with that, just opened up a lot of opportunities, and I was actually it was right before Knoxville Nationals when that happened. So I was at Knoxville Nationals just hanging out, and it almost, nothing with Kyle almost came about because I was sitting at my parents' RV and just kind of shooting the shit with some people, and Ryan Hydebreeder and Ashley Hydebreeder were at my parents' RV hanging out. And if you don't know who they are, they own the black and gold 19 car. I drove it at the end of last year.
Yep.
Caleb Johnson's in it this year at
Yep.
Knoxville. And I'm like, hey, Ryan, what would it take for me to get in your car? Like, I got some free time now, and I wasn't in a rush to just jump in and, like, get another job. So I was like, hey, Ryan, what would it take to get in your car? He's like, shit, dude, I don't know. You buy a couple tires, provide some fuel, we'll find a race to run. And I'm like, perfect. Like, let's do it. And so that kind of opened that door. And right as I'd ran my first weekend with them, Kyle called me, and I'm like, what the heck is Kyle Larson calling me for? Like, just not a normal name to pop up on my phone.
No.
And he's like, hey, I heard you're maybe looking for something to do. Like, if you'd be interested, I want to start a micro team for my kids as opposed to just renting cars, from other people. I feel like they're bought in enough. They want to do it. They're committed. And it's time for me to just kind of, invest in them as opposed to just put money towards other people's programs to rent rides.
Yep.
And I kind of blew him off a little bit, honestly. I was like, well, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, that's a big commitment. He wants me to move to North Carolina and just, all the stuff that goes with it. And it's funny enough, like, this kind of comes full circle, but at the time, I knew Owen wasn't necessarily like a big fan of me because I'd crashed Dason at the shootout the year before, and Owen's a big Dason Pursley fan, and so I just like I was like, hey, I don't really know. Like, I would love to work with kids. That's always something I've seen myself doing, whether it was a coach for my kids someday or whatever it is. I just enjoyed working with kids and seeing them learn. So I didn't fully close that door, but I kind of just told Kyle, like, I really don't know. He's like, okay, well, we'll talk about it more, whatever. And as time went on, he kind of kept bugging me, and finally he's like, man, I need an answer. Like, I either got to tell Chad Boat we're going to do another year with him, or I'm going to start my own deal. And I was like, all right, I'm in. Like, we kind of went back and forth on a few things, and it just worked out. So I was like, not very often you get the opportunity to work for Kyle Larson with Kyle's kids, be a part of that and see, how they develop over the years and just be a part of that growth. So, just a super special opportunity that I debated for, 3 or 4 weeks, from the first phone call till I said, let's do it. And just felt like, God was maybe pulling me in the direction of like, this is just something you can't pass up on. And I'm super thankful that I took that opportunity and that Kyle called me. And I mean, there's 1,000 people he could have called to try and start this race team for his kids. And the fact that he picked me means more than he will ever know, or the kids will ever know, or Caitlin will ever know. It's an honor for sure.
Because, I suppose he couldn't wait too long if he was going to start a team, because he's going to have to buy stuff, I would assume.
Well, yeah, it has not been a fast process building the race team. I'll tell you guys that for sure. It's done with a lot of attention to detail and trying to pick all the right pieces of the puzzle to put together to have the nicest race cars that we can and the best engine packages and cars and parts and just partners in general. So I'm certainly glad we started way back in even it was November, I think, maybe even late October. I went and spent the first weekend down in Tulsa with the kids and Kyle, and we bounced around to a couple parts suppliers down there and just kind of started developing those relationships. So it's been, from then all the way up until now, and we're still building. We're not built all the way by any means, but, we got a solid foundation, I think, and hopefully our speed is kind of showing that. I think we've been pretty good out of the gate for a startup team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Aubrey just got her first win here, week or 2 weeks ago? What was that?
Yeah, that was last week. It was
Last week?
It was her third win
Oh,
in the junior sprint. We won. Yeah, we went down to I-44 Speedway in Oklahoma City earlier this year, and she clean swept that whole weekend down there. And that was our first ever weekend out with that car. So that was actually really, really cool to, just fire off and get her first ever junior sprint wins right off the bat. And poor Owen, we only had room for one car for him. Really only had one car built at the time, and we blew up an engine on practice night, actually. So he didn't even get to have a fair shake at it. And then his sister goes out and sweeps. She was quick time both nights, won both heat races, led every lap of both features. And
now was she doing a little rubbing on him after that? Say, Owen.
Yeah. Oh man, I know. I told him, I said, I'm sorry. Like we'll be more prepared next time, and we'll go. I'll make sure you have the same opportunities. And I'm not thankful that happened, but it definitely was like an eye opener of like, man, you sit and watch this poor kid not get the same opportunity that his sister's getting because we didn't have our stuff necessarily in a row. And not that it was in our control, but it makes you just want to put your best foot forward for them, So, it was cool. And then, like you guys were talking about in Nebraska this last week, Audrey won again at a Now 600 race, which is cool. That's the top series traveling for micros, So to win those races is special. You got to beat some good cars, and she does a phenomenal job. Audrey is incredibly talented. She just turned 8 like 2 weeks ago, so maybe not even that long ago. It's fun to watch her grow and just see the difference in personalities between Owen and Audrey. That is wild. I think people ask me what it's like, and the biggest difference is just their personality. Audrey is hard nosed. I can get on her pretty hard and be pretty aggressive with how I talk to her about what she's doing, her line, things like that. And Owen, not that I can't get on him, but I think he responds a little bit better to just some support, and positive encouragement. And so things like that's just as fun to me to learn as it is, how to set these race cars up.
Yeah.
So just a lot that factors into every night racing with them. It's not necessarily like I'm just showing up, setting a race car up and going home,
Yeah. So
and a little plug for our sponsor, but I think S2F carries the Now 600 series. They show them.
I've been a coach like my whole life. I'm a PE teacher and a coach. So it's interesting for me to hear you say that because every kid is different. I mean, I don't care if you have twins. We even have a set of triplets. And, each one of them you can treat differently. I don't have any problem getting in a kid's face, but you got to know which kids you can do that to because if you do it to the wrong one, they're done for the rest of the game. So it's interesting to hear you say that, and it goes the same. I mean, you're basically a coach in a sense.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. I'm a coach as much as I'm a crew chief, and like you said, everyone's different. And for me, that started all the way back in December when I had first moved there, and we weren't even racing yet. But the kids, they're at the shop every single day, hanging out, whatever it may be. And we get to play. They love hockey. They're super big into hockey. So we play hockey every day at the shop. And it's just fun to see their competitive side in hockey is, kind of where we first got to see it. And you just see how they respond to little things here and there. Audrey takes a cheap shot at Owen, or Owen takes a cheap shot at Audrey, how they navigate that. And, you just start to kind of learn over time. And I was thankful that I got to spend those 2 months, 3 months kind of getting to know them before we got to go race so that I kind of had an idea, I think, of how to handle some of these situations night in and night out at the racetrack. And like I said, I can lean into Audrey's car before qualifying or a heat race and be like, all right, it's time to freaking go. Are you going to step up and do it? Or, what are we going to do here? And
are you challenging me? Let's go.
Yeah. And she'll flip a switch, and she is so locked in. Like, people will come up to her, to say good luck, whatever. And she is stone cold, just zoned in. She's got it fully switched on. And if you can get her to find that headspace before every race, she's as good as any kid in the country. There's no doubt in my mind.
And speaking
it's
of
fun to
Larsons,
see.
Kyle spins a 5 on the wheel.
We're at dash draw.
Yeah. We're watching the race too. We're multitasking a little bit here.
Toby is. I have my back.
Bud's
to
got
it,
his back
so.
to it. He picked the wrong seat.
Yeah. I'm at Spencer Bason's house. I snuck downstairs real quick to talk to you guys. So they're upstairs watching the
You
race.
could have stayed up there and watched the race. We could have done doing that. Shit, we talk people going down the road, whatever. We don't care.
Whatever it is. Yeah.
So when you were at the Chili Bowl, I think, don't quote me on where this was, but I thought you made the comment, well, I'm thinking, 40 or 50 races or something like that. And then I get the schedule from Kyle and it's like over 90. So,
yes.
So what is the schedule and how hectic is it for you?
It's hectic. It is full hectic. I think Kyle and I counted up the other day actually, and it's well over 100 races. So yeah, which is good. I mean, we all are in agreement that we want the kids to get as many laps as possible, and that's how you get better. And we'll just take it as it comes. It's not a absolute 100% set schedule. We're always kind of tweaking here or there based on Kyle's schedule, family travel, things like that. But we're fortunate for sure that we are able to go do that many races. And yeah, that's the plan, is to race as much as we can all over the country and just let the kids learn and get better. And we're not chasing points to where, they have the pressure to maybe just run third tonight because, it's a good points night. We want them to go race for wins every night, run hard. If you crash it, we'll build it again and go get better. It's a part of learning. So, in a super fortunate situation for us to have that mentality. But it's fun. We're going to get to go all the way out to California for a couple weekends and then hit everywhere in the Midwest, Texas, Oklahoma, Missouri, obviously Iowa, Nebraska, Illinois, all the way out to North Carolina. So it's a full schedule.
What's the
California from North Carolina? That's a drive.
What's the closest you get to Northwest Iowa or Sioux Falls, South Dakota?
Probably close to where we just were. So, we were just over kind of in the Lincoln area, a little bit more west of Lincoln, Nebraska, racing at Cam Raceway.
Okay.
And we ended up going back out there, but we were supposed to race in Stewart, Nebraska, which is like the very, very north Nebraska, basically straight north of Lincoln, I think. And that would have been the closest we'd be to Sioux Falls. Yeah, kind of that region, I think, is probably 2-3 hours down to Lincoln.
Not quite, I suppose.
Yeah, so probably around there is as close as we get to you guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
We need to get Todd Queering to make a micro midget track right behind Houston.
There was several guys trying to get one going up here last year. I ain't heard much this year yet about it, but
they used to run back when it was Badlands. They ran micros up at Houston's. My cousin Cameron Key and I went up there and raced actually, way back when. So yeah, they used to run micros there. Maybe they could have a one-off show again.
There you go.
Yeah, I think they're having like the Gopher Midget Series come do one race this year. I don't know. It's some group out of Minnesota, I think. So, but
nice.
Yeah, but
So, is the schedule, is that out there somewhere that a person can look it up so we know like when it's going to be on S2F or anything, or?
It's not, because we
don't know when it is.
Tweak it here and there. Yeah, we just would hate for someone to plan, 2 months ahead of time, I'm going to this race, and then something change on our end and we can't make it,
Well, that's just racing.
Let down. So we're truthfully week to week. Even yesterday, Kyle and I were discussing the schedule for this coming weekend, based on weather, based on classes that we are able to run at each of these races and things like that. So it's not out there, but obviously we try to just be a week or two ahead of time.
So how hands-on is Kyle with this? I assume a lot. And then the other question is, how hands-on does Kyle want Owen and Audrey to be? I mean, does he want them to learn the car?
That's a great question. Starting with Kyle, he is I'm going to say less hands off than you might think as far as day-to-day stuff. He's in the shop a lot, more than I honestly would have thought he would be, just checking in on things. Hey guys, how's it going? Where's our engine program at? How's the cars coming? Especially because we're just growing right now. So like, we just got a new trailer 2 weeks ago, so we had to outfit it. So he's popping in. How's the trailer coming? This and that. He helped lay out the lounge in the trailer for the kids. So like, he's hands-on in that sense. Obviously fully hands-on on scheduling, planning travel, things like that. But as far as just like working on the race cars itself, not really at all. He fully trusts Carson Perkins, which is our other crew guy, and myself to, build the nicest race cars, take care of everything, get them, where we all expect them to be, and do our jobs. So that's really cool. And then at the racetrack, Kyle's dad was at the last race in Nebraska, and he was kind of teasing him, man, Kyle, you're getting elbows deep in this thing. And he was scraping mud and wiping on him. And, you can tell Kyle really enjoys being around his kids right now, watching them race, learning, just being a part of the team, and as for, what he wants out of the kids, I definitely think he wants them to have a bit more of an understanding about how race cars work than what Kyle maybe has. He wants Owen in the shop with us, helping mount and dismount tires. On wash day, he wants Owen there helping us out. Just, being around so that he's a part of the team, has a small understanding of how things work. But at the same time, at the racetrack, Owen's focused on driving. He's obviously not making any calls, anything like that. Like, we're just trying to get as good a feedback as we can from Owen, and then he can go, focus on driving. But throughout the week at the shop, he certainly wants Owen involved in the day-to-day operations and just being around us and learning. So I think he's pushing for that a little more than what maybe he even knows about, how the race cars work.
I think, as far as a fan for Bud and me, all I know is a push truck driver, but I would think that the more the driver knows about the car, the better the communication is going to be with you as a crew chief.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's why Kyle's pushing for that, and it just helps build that relationship between crew chief and driver, and, lets everyone know that Owen's as bought in as we are, and we're bought in, for Owen. It goes both ways. And so if he can understand kind of how the race car works and, a little bit about shocks here and there, to where if we do end up with shock adjusters in the race car, he can reach in there and make a click or two to try to help himself, not necessarily change anything, but just, small adjustments here or there. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but we'll learn from there because he does understand it and be better for next time. So just, I want them to be as all around polished as they possibly can be.
So, little off the wall question, maybe not really, I guess, but as a dad and a grandpa, so like when you go to these races and whatnot, are the kids riding with you in the hauler then, or they show up later with mom, or?
It varies.
Okay.
It varies. When we go to Millbridge, there's been a couple of times actually that we've taken the kids and Kyle's off racing. We race Saturdays out there sometimes, so Kyle's off racing cup stuff, and Caitlin had a prior commitment or something that popped up, and so it's just us and the kids alone. But as far as like cross country stuff, they come in separate with Mom and Kyle. They don't do a ton of riding in the rig. They did ride from Nebraska to Indiana. We changed schedules because of weather, and so we left Nebraska early and head out to Columbus, Indiana to race the KKM Give Back race, and they rode in the motorhome there. So that was like 13 hours of ride time, and Kyle drove the bus, Caitlin drove the bus. They kind of shared, and we drove the rig. So they definitely still, I'm not going to say rough it necessarily, but they get the full experience that way. And
well, I
there'll
didn't
be
expect
times
them,
throughout the summer to where they're riding with us, and we'll probably teach them some things we shouldn't, and see if it can be a bad influence here and there.
That's part of racing.
That's right. Yeah.
I didn't expect them, to ride in the hauler to California when you guys went or anything like that. What? 8,
Right.
What's Owen? 10 or 11?
Owen is 11. He turned
Okay.
11 back in December, and Audrey turned 8 May 7th.
Yeah.
So not very long ago.
You know, so yeah, I wouldn't expect them to, but I figured, you know, on the shorter trips maybe they did. But I was just curious.
Yeah. When we haven't had a lot of close trips, you know, outside of to Millbridge, and they ride with us to Millbridge a lot, almost weekly. So that's fun. There's a quick trip on the way out to Millbridge, and we stop and get slushies, and Audrey always wants to get an energy drink slushie or something, and we have to tell her no, and then she sneaks it, and so they're just kids, and it's fun to see them just be kids, you know. And
They're wanting to. They're trying to get whatever they're not supposed to have, so they have to keep
that's
asking.
right.
They wouldn't be kids if they didn't.
No.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they're you know, to a lot of people, they're in the public eye as Kyle's kids, and you know, they're stars, right? Like there's people lined up after every race for autographs, and you know, they don't realize that necessarily. To them, they're just kids. So it's fun to see them get to be just Owen and Audrey. You know, no Larson necessarily attached to it, and be their own individual person. And that's been as fun as anything. Just getting to see who they are as kids and be around them and learn that side of them.
Well, and absolutely have it that way. I mean, it wouldn't, if it was all the time about Larson name, you know, they're not having a fun childhood, almost, you could say. It's going to suck some of it out anyhow.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, it's going to be fun, right? You get to see your dad run cup races and win sprint car races and that, but at the same time, it's hard to beat when Kyle is home with us, right? And we're playing wiffle ball in the backyard, and something silly happens, or we get to take the boat out, or we play on the golf sim, or just things like that. You know, the day-to-day life that's away from the racetrack. That's when, you know, I think we get to see the real side of the kids come out, and they, you know, they enjoy it, and their dad is obviously super present in those moments, and it's fun to see that side of things.
Well, you got to be kids.
Yeah.
I mean, if it was all racing, then pretty soon racing ain't fun either.
Right. Yes. Yep. For sure.
We'll let you get going here. One last question: How long can you see yourself doing something like this?
That's another very good question. Spencer Baston just asked me that at dinner tonight. He's like, "Do you see this, you know, long term?" And I'm like, I truthfully do. You know, I really love where I'm at job wise with them and the relationship that I've built with the entire family. And I love North Carolina a lot more than I thought I would. And so, I see myself being here for, you know, as long as they really want to have me. And I just enjoy getting to be a part of, you know, their race team, their family, and doing it. So I don't think, you know, Owen or Audrey or Cooper, their youngest, he's going to start before too awful long. But it's, it'll be full blown soon. You know, Owen's not too far away from sprint cars. So eventually, you know, we'll be growing into sprint cars and have sprint cars and micros. And, you know, then we'll have to figure out who goes where and who does what.
Racing,
but
a lot of 14-year-olds running sprint cars. So you got 3 years.
Yeah, it's not slowing down anytime soon.
No.
I can promise you that. I've never seen kids more ate up with racing than Owen and Audrey. I mean, everything is a race, whether we're
they're walking to the house to get dinner.
It's all of it. Yep. And they have, you know, a core group of friends back home too that are absolutely just ate up with racing. And we're either playing hockey or we're racing, one or the other. And usually in our like downtime, it's playing with the diecast cars and racing that way. If we're not racing scooters or go-karts or whatever it is in the shop, dirt bikes.
Well, if you're into everything races, at one point, everything you have can turn into a race.
Yeah. I don't see it slowing down on their end, and I'm super thankful for the opportunity to get to be a part of it. And as long as they want me to be around, I would love to work with, you know, the Larson family as a whole and get to go racing with them.
Yeah. I just got to share one story with you. I keep pestering Kyle whenever he shows up at Houston, or if I catch him at Knoxville, to come on our show. And I realize the man probably does 10,000 interviews a year, and he don't want to talk to people like us. But until he tells me no, I'm going to keep asking him when I see him. So the last time I ran into him at Houston's, I went up to him and I says, Kyle, I'd talked to him the year before. And I said, Kyle, did you give any more thought to being on Hoagie's Garage? well, he said something to the effect, I'm not going to lie to you. No, I didn't think about it. And I said, well, I didn't expect you to. But I said, it would just be really cool for us to get a dirt driver that dabbles in NASCAR to be on our little podcast sometime. He started laughing. I didn't know where that come from. Wife is standing there. She hits me. What the hell did you just say? I said, I don't know. I pulled it right out of my backside. But that was the last time I talked to Kyle. I just thought it'd be neat to have a dirt driver that dabbles in NASCAR on our show.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if you talk to him and he's tired of me asking him, tell him just to tell me no the next time I jump him, and then I'll quit bothering him. But he's never said no. He just, I'll think about it or something. He's too nice.
He might be too nice of a guy.
Well, that's just it. He's trying to be nice. He's just got to tell me no.
Yeah.
But anyways,
no, he's a good dude. It's impressive to see him take as much time as he does for fans or whoever it may be. I mean, we're starting to get, a lot of fans just show up to some of these micro races, whether it be for autographs, just to see him, however it is. And he still, we'll just take time for all of them. Even after Audrey won in Nebraska, we went to the front stretch after all the features were over for Victory Lane pictures. That's just kind of how they do it.
Yep.
Kyle and I are walking off the track, and there's a crowd of 30 people waiting for an autograph. And he stops the middle of our conversation to stand there and sign all those autographs. Then he makes his way back to the trailer, and there's another 25 people standing there. And so, it's neat to see his commitment to, fan engagement and everything that he does. And I think that's special. You see that I think Tony Stewart was a very similar guy in that regard. I remember being a little kid at Chili Bowl, and Tony would have a line of 200 people long, and he will sit there and sign every autograph until the last person's gone. And I see Kyle do that at sprint car races, and I'm sure tonight will be no different after this high limit race. But
I think honestly, I believe it bothers Kyle, like at the Nationals, the couple times he's won that since we've been down there, and then he has to leave right away to make it to the NASCAR race on Sunday. And I don't, I think it bothers him because there's people lined up.
Yeah.
And they, and he's got to leave. And I think, honestly, I believe it bothers him a little bit.
The one year he got back, and the NASCAR guy, I don't know who it was telling, we got to go. And he's like, nope, I'm taking one picture with my sponsors. So Fulkins Brothers, which is right here.
Finley Farms.
We were down in there with, seeing it all, and Kyle took one picture, and it was with all those sponsors that was there. I think that was the first year he won it down there. So, but that NASCAR guy was like grabbing him and saying, "We gotta go.
The plane was like running on the runway. We gotta go."
But
his commitment to fan engagement is pretty incredible, because you're never going to get them all right. But
no,
man, he sure tries. So that's been something super respectable that, I've now got to see behind the scenes. I used to be a guy in line to get an autograph, So that's, it's cool to see. And Owen and Audrey are the same way. They're signing autographs every single night, and whether they realize how special that is or not, I think, it's way more special than they realize. So,
well, you get another little kid comes up to those two to get an autograph, and that's making the other kids' night.
Yeah. Yep, totally.
And that just made a fan for down the road for 40 years. You got a dirt fan again now.
Hey, if Owen and Audrey ever want to come on, just let us know, Clinton, because we've had all kinds of go-kart kids. We
sponsor a couple different go-karters here, some brothers, and they've come to the garage. And
but if they ever want to do something like that,
a lot of times it's hard to get them to stop talking. But it seems like when they get in front of a camera or an interview, they don't say two words. So we might have to work on that a little bit.
Well, we'd be good practice for them, because it's over the phone. They're not in, no camera in their face.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Anyways, we can't hardly thank you enough, Clinton, for taking time out.
Especially
if you
when
hustle
you're at
upstairs,
Spencer's.
you can catch the end of the B.
There you go.
Perfect.
All right.
Yeah. No, thank you guys for having me on. I always enjoy it.
All right. You take
Thanks
care.
so
Clinton.
much. Bye.
Yep. Have a good one.
Bye.